What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And with me this week is LaTia Jacquise.
Oh my
Hello!
God, it's me. Oh my God.
It
Hi.
is you.
So here's the thing. I was not prepared for that because I wasn't prepared for how fast you were going to talk,
I know.
but I was excited about how fast you were going to talk because I was like, "Oh, I can keep up. This is great."
That is the speed that I go at until I can't. But let's see. First off, thank you so much for joining us today. If there are people out there in the chat that somehow don't know who are you for those fine folks?
Well, hi. I am a human being named LaTia. Human being is questionable at this point, but I am the community relations coordinator at Monty Cook Games. I am a cast member of Rivals of Waterdeep and the season 9 and 12 DMs. I'm the brand new DM of a familiar quest.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of other stuff, but we've only got an hour.
It's true. It's true. We do. You do a lot of really awesome things. If you do not follow LaTia on Twitter, please absolutely go change that right now because she's doing a lot of really awesome and fun things. But yeah, we're here to talk about Familiar Quest today. But I want to kick this off the way that I normally do these shows, which is, LaTia, how did you get into D&D?
Well, it all started a dark and stormy night like 20 years ago. No, and kind of the same way a lot of people do. I had a bunch of friends who wanted to tell stories together in high school, and they were like, "Well, we can use D&D," and I was like, "What the heck is D&D?" And we never actually like progressed far enough to actually getting characters and adventures and dice rolling until like after high school. But same way, a lot of other people did, and then my interest in it not so much faded, but just like I wasn't with those friends anymore, so I wasn't exposed to D&D anymore until Critical Role, as a lot of people do, and then fourth edition was out at that time. I think
Yeah, they'd done
no,
fifth by then. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll reverse that. I ran into some of my high school friends at a comic book store, and they were playing fourth edition, and so I joined their game, and then fifth edition came and took the world by storm, and then Critical Role came and took the world by storm. And then I was like, okay, I need to get back into this, and found a friendly local game store and started playing there, and the rest is kind of history.
Heck yeah. So fourth edition was like the first time you got to roll dice with it.
Yeah, like really really roll dice with it. I think I played one quick one shot of 3.5, which one of my best friends will never let me live it down, because I was a human who felt like exploring everything in a dungeon where I didn't have dark vision. And then at the end of the game, turns out that one of us had torches the whole time and just didn't take our inventory. So I'm nearly dead at the end of the dungeon. And then my best friend was like, "Oh yeah, I had torches the whole time." And never gonna live that down. But yeah, fourth edition was where I really kind of cut my teeth on actually playing a character that I actually like put thought into, and wanted to see advance, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the fourth edition was also where I got my start with it about oh god, over 10 years ago now, and it was fun. I know a lot of people out there don't like it, but I love fourth edition. It's still a fun game.
I think if I had had more time to play it before fifth edition came out, I would probably think similarly. I did like some of the abilities that you got to do. I barely remember any of it now because we were literally like fourth edition was about to sunset, and
Oh
then
wow, okay.
fifth edition was on its way in. So I don't remember a lot of it, but I liked what I remember of it. The experience was good.
Absolutely. Well, I actually, when in that journey did you start DMing?
That would be about 5 years ago. It was another one of those gaps in I hadn't played D&D in a while, and um, there was just this random advertisement on Facebook. These people were looking for people to play D&D at a comic book shop. It's always comic book shops, isn't it?
Nothing wrong with that.
Right? But that was when I was introduced to Adventurers League, the organized play program. And I played with those folks for about a year before I was like, okay, I think I want to try my hand at DMing. So I ran them through Lost Mines of Fandelver.
Oh, I love that one.
I do. It's so good. It's so so good. Because I'd played through it at one point previously, and I was like, okay, I'm familiar enough with it that I can at least run them through it. So yeah, I ran them through Lost Mines, and that was a lot of fun and a lot of chaos.
I
And
think
kind of,
Lost Mines might be the one adventure I've run the most, to the point that the
mhm.
last time I ran it, I did it without the book.
Oh wow.
I just was just like, all right, you're going up to a trail, some goblins come out, okay, you're gonna follow the goblins, you go around this way, there's a cave.
Right.
Like I'm pretty sure that first goblin hideout map, I think I have perfectly memorized in my head.
You know, you say that, and yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. The cavern over here, and then like you can go that way, or the water comes down, and then
Yep.
like there's yeah, and then there's
Pool
the other
area up
path
there that
around.
leads into the
Yeah.
bugbear. Yeah, yep.
Mhm.
That's a good one. It's so good. But yeah, so now you are DMing Familiar Quest.
Yeah, that's
And
wild.
yeah, why don't you give people who may not know? Look, I am an image now. Familiar Quest. What is Familiar Quest?
A familiar quest, as told by other people to me, is you are it's a party of familiars, and they're going on a quest.
Hey.
No, it's I mean, as many people who participate in the TTRPG community do, I didn't have a lot of time to watch the first series
Hmm.
before making my prep for the second one. But it's you're playing as familiars, but you're more than familiars because otherwise the show would be like 10 minutes long because one fight and everybody's gone, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the familiars all have classes and abilities and things like that akin to actual player characters. It's just they're skinned in familiars. And I have plotted something out for them this season, and we'll see if we can get through it in however many episodes we have. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yeah, like you were saying, like, you didn't have enough time to watch the original one, and that is a thing. And people out there in chat, content creators, we don't really have time. We love all of our friends and everything, and all the other projects, but we don't have time to watch them.
No.
Oh my god, I have so many friends who I'm just like, I love what you do, I just can't be there for it.
Right.
But how was kind of taking that over from Todd? Like, did he sit down with you and talk to you about like what he was doing with it and whatnot?
Yes. So we had a meeting a couple weeks before first episode aired where I basically just kind of asked what he had in mind for the second season. Um and he told me it was very short and very sweet. Like he like no really it was just like the barest of bones. It
Mm-hmm.
was like a spine and a pelvis. And it was like here is what I had in mind. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put some feet on this, and then we're gonna get some arms and a head, and then we're gonna start walking. So it was if you haven't seen the first episode already, not too spoilery, they've moved from Barovia to Waterdeep, which is, very clearly a city after my own heart. So when Todd said that, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the impetus for that is that, at the end of last series, they had driven the mists away by becoming, as Todd said, the land, like, ruling Barovia, taking care of Barovia, and making sure that it's a relatively safe place. But the
That is
mists come.
it's a weird
Yeah,
title along with Barovia.
right. But the mists, they come back, and
Hmm.
they bring the familiars to Waterdeep, and you know it's I didn't know that Mugen and Gale were from Waterdeep, so that was a nice surprise both for me and for them to be transported to their first home. um and just getting them adjusted to their new familiar forms, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do remember when the show was first getting talked about and whatnot, and Todd was like, "Oh, we're gonna do one with familiars," and it was pretty close to the premiere of it that I got to talk to him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be in Barovia," and I just went, Of course it is. Of course, you'd be like, it's going to be a fun-filled time with cute familiars and everything, but in Barovia. but but I like that that this one is going into Waterdeep. I mean, you like you said, you've got a strong connection to that city. I absolutely love Waterdeep. It's one of my favorite locations in the Forgotten Realms, and so I'm very excited to see how these interesting familiars who have been in a lot of death and destruction sort of environment are going to do in Waterdeep itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess one of the questions I want to ask, because obviously I don't want to go into too much spoilers about it and whatnot, because we watch the show, it's going to be good. But what do you think? What do you would say is your DMing style and like that you're bringing to the show?
I have an idea. That's pretty much it. So I have a start and I have a finishing point. And in the case of a familiar quest, I have an antagonist.
Oh.
I don't always have an antagonist. But I have a starting point, I have the end point, and I have the antagonist. And I knew how I was going to get them into Waterdeep, and I think from there, the rest of the season, I'm very much that gif of is it Bugs Bunny who's on the front of a train and he's just placing tracks as the train is going?
Wile E. Coyote.
Wile E. Coyote, thank you. So I'm very much that I don't always know. I know what's going to happen at least 10 minutes ahead of time and at least 10 minutes ahead. But beyond that, I am very much a player advocate. I love to see what my players do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that very much in the first episode. I just let them go.
Yeah.
And what they say and what they do becomes little bits and things that I then take and I'm like, okay, I'm listening to that. I'm going to put that later on in the adventure, in the season or whatever. But I don't very much think too far ahead just because it's not really going to be the same once we get there. So I knew what I was going to do for episode 1. Now that episode 1 is done, I know what I'm going to do for episode 2, and I have little bits and pieces that will seed themselves in for the later episodes. So to make a long answer short, I just kind of let my players inform what I'm going to do as a DM with a very basic skeleton, and they're putting the meat on it as we play.
And that's fantastic. That's one of my favorite kinds of DMing, because like if you do plan out the whole thing, I often joke that like if you plan out too much, you're just outlining a book, because and there's always the joke of just like players ruin DM plans, but it's like, well, you need to let them be able to influence the story, have things that they're doing affect it and whatnot, because otherwise you may as well be playing a video game.
Right.
But yeah, no, I noticed that in the first episode there, I can't remember which part it was, but there was at one point I was just like, oh, LaTia actually hasn't said anything for a little bit. Like it's just been the characters, building themselves out and whatnot, and Gabe just breaking out a whole song. Song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know that was going to happen beforehand, or did he? I love it.
No, I love one of the things that I'm most excited about. I have not played with anybody at this table except for Eugenio, and I have wanted to have Gabe as a player for years because he's run games for me before, and I know what his DMing style is like, but I just know how he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that he was going to throw loops and wrenches and all sorts of things into whatever it was I was going to do. So he's my my ace in the hole, so to speak, because as he started doing some stuff, I'm talking to him and back in like back room chat, like, all right, here's what's you're gonna go along with this, and some stuff is gonna happen. So a little tidbit of information for those of y'all who will be watching this season. Gabe is gonna be responsible for some stuff.
With the sort of character that he presented there, does not surprise me at all, because that I don't even know what to make of his character yet. I'm just like,
No.
okay, there's more than one of you, but not, and then okay, I think I'm following along with this.
Right.
So well, okay, so one of the other things that you did though is that some of the familiars now have a new form.
Yes.
And how do you think that's gonna go with Waterdeep itself? Like, you know, you got like a seahorse and now 2 fish.
Yes. So that also informed where I was going to place them this season, because I didn't want 2 water familiars to be completely landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also know that, you know, usually it's, you know, familiars can choose to change their shape, or or their caster or whatever can choose to change their shape for them. I wanted to give them a little bit of unpredictability in having something happen where their shapes changed and it didn't mean to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And these are not familiars that, like, imps are kind of, you know, common familiars, but these are familiars that you don't generally see.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in a town like Waterdeep where magic is
Everywhere.
bigger, yeah, magic is everywhere. I wanted them somewhere where they would be comfortable in their forms, but also, you know, sort of standouts.
Mm-hmm.
Because who expects a flying broom to be carrying a bucket full of 2 familiars, one of whom is two quippers?
When that started happening, I was like, "This is perfect. This is what I hoped would happen here." I'm like, I don't know what it is. The flying broom is one of those magic items that has just like clicked with me over the years. Like, I've had players that have had it and whatnot, and the amount of uses I have seen that one magic item have has just been so, and now it's carrying a bucket full of familiars.
Yep. Down the streets of Waterdeep, and all right, cool, I guess. We've seen stranger things, I guess.
That is true, especially in Waterdeep. And so yeah, so you've got all these different types of familiars and whatnot, and I completely lost track of my question. ADHD is not my friend. Well, I guess one of the questions is do you think that at any point we're going to see any other transformations of them, or do you think that this is going to be their new forms for a while?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, really, it's up to them.
True.
If that's something that they want to.
Oh, see, now I'm just like, what would Mugen? What else would Mugen be? Mugen's one of my favorite familiars. Just as soon as Michelle started doing that voice, I'm like, I love this character so much.
Yeah, I especially love Mugen's relationship with Gale. Like, when they turned into I'm going to answer your question, but when they turned into the familiars and Gale just started screaming underwater, and Mugen came over and Gale just like latched onto Mugen, I love their relationship so much. It's just so sweet. But to answer your question, it's completely up to them, you know. If that's something that they want to explore, or something that they want to kind of, you know, see where that goes for a potential hopeful 3rd season, we'll talk and steer the story in that direction. You know, I'm all about player agency. So
absolutely.
To some, like, and admittedly sometimes I do get kind of wrapped up in a thing where I may like forget about it, but I always try to check in between episodes and see how everybody's doing, if anybody wants to change anything and stuff like that. So
yeah,
making sure everybody's having a really good time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, when it comes to players and their characters, like as a DM, I always want to make sure that that's like this is the character that you want to be playing and who you want to continue to be playing and who you want to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I've had friends who have made characters and they started playing them and they're just like, I didn't really leave any room for development here. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of satisfied with everything, so I don't really know what to do with them. And I think that's one reason Familiar Quest is so interesting is because it's what familiars want. It's like it's their
Mm-hmm.
character growth and whatnot. It's stuff that we don't normally get to see. Like you're saying, like these are familiars that we don't usually see as familiars in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I've ever seen a wizard with a seahorse familiar. Though now that I say it out loud, that sounds cool.
A miniature giant seahorse, to be fair.
That's true. Miniature giant seahorse. Yes. That is one thing Spelljammer is 100% going to do. We're going to get a bunch of the miniature giant things all over the
Yes.
place now.
And I'm excited for it.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. That is one interaction, and I don't know what you have planned or whatnot, but I just feel like, oh, I kind of want to see these familiars talk with Boo. I don't know if you saw what happened on Legends of the Multiverse last night, but Matt Mercer reprised his role as Boo.
I saw. Oh man,
It was so good.
I was in the crowd when that happened at D&D Live.
Oh really?
It was wild.
That was I've told Jim Zub this to his face. That was the first time I'd ever seen Jim Zub. I'd read his comics and everything for a while, and he walks out his Minsk with the bald cap on and everything. I'm like, I love this man.
Yeah, it was great. I literally the lurking writer in chat said it was glorious, and I'm like, yes, it was glorious.
Yes, that is a perfect description of what that was. But yeah, so you got Familiar Quest going on right now, but that's not the only stream that you're doing, and that's not the only stream that you're DMing. Tell me a bit about Rivals.
Oh man, so Rivals, we just wrapped our 13th season. Trevor, you are now our season 14 announcement.
I am the season 14.
You are the season 14. So yeah, we're 13 seasons strong at this point.
That's so awesome.
Campaigned from 5 to we ended season 13 at level 18.
Oh wow.
Yes. So this is first of all, one of the longest games I've ever been in. And the first time I am well on my way to actually bringing a character from a low level fully up to level 20. And I think
that's so cool.
I think that's the case for almost the full cast, like being able to start from because we've all come in at different levels. I think I started at level and I was level 11 or 12 when I joined the cast, and like Brian and Eugenio were like level 13 or 14, but like being able to take a story from beginning to a level 20 conclusion, I'm so excited for it. And so if you're not familiar with Rivals, we rotate DMs every season. I mentioned I was the DM for season 9 and for season 12 because other cast members have stepped into the seat in the seasons in between. Like Sharif just wrapped up season 13, which I was very excited for him to get back in the seat because he hasn't been in the seat since I joined in season 6 and 7. And with Sharif, you're always going to have some kind of puzzle or something like that to solve. He's very math brained, and I love it. But yeah, we just wrapped up. Where were we? We were in Strixhaven. We took a visit to Strixhaven, and
you're all going back to school.
Yeah, I'll go back to school. Which, funnily enough, was something that I was going to do for my season. And it's interesting in that way of how you can give two different people a setting and they'll do something completely different with it. Whereas Sharif was like, oh, I'm going to give you a puzzly mystery.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to make us like, we were going to get called to Strixhaven as like honorary professors for what we had done, for services rendered to the world at large. Here's your honorary Strixhaven degree.
I love that.
Yeah, and I just think it's really cool how, multiple people can take an idea and go completely different directions with it.
Oh, yeah.
I I'm super excited to start season 14. Tanya is back in the seat. We haven't seen her in the seat since season 8, I think.
Oh wow.
That was the Icewind Dale season where we all went to jail.
Oh,
And yeah,
as you do.
as you do. So I'm excited for what she's got coming for us. But yeah, I love my rivals, and I love every chance to get both to sit in the DMC and to see new people sit in the seat. Like everybody's been in the seat at this point, so
Hmm.
um,
Well, I
it's
actually wanted to ask about that because, like,
yeah,
would you all consider it co-DMing? Because I know that's something that some people do, but it's usually a little more swapping back and forth a little more often. Y'all are doing seasons and whatnot.
yeah, yes and no. So I would say it is co-DMing to a point because we've all had an opportunity to shepherd the story. And when it becomes our turn to DM, we there's always an opportunity for us to take things from previous seasons. So
Hmm.
usually what will happen is that the previous season's DM and the current season's DM will, have a chat, what didn't you get to cover in your season? Here's what I want to do for my season. And then it may even extend to other cast members, because if there's something from 2 seasons ago that we want to kind of revisit, it's like, okay, can I have some information about this? um like when Sharif was about to start DMing, he I introduced a series of NPCs in my season who we just call the biddies, or the old ladies, um because they are the old ladies of the North Ward. They make really good cookies, and they're definitely not just normal old ladies. So as soon as he said he wanted to DM, he sent me a message, tell me everything about the old ladies, and I was like, all right.
Oh,
Here's
I
what you
love
need to
that.
know. So it is co-DMing in that way that we all know a little bit of the story, and even during sessions, if there's something that has come up in one of the seasons that another cast member has DM'd, we're more than happy to be like, yeah, so this is what happened. This was during my season. This, and this. So it, to a point, yes. And then it is actually co-DMing, like for season 12, when Brian and Eugenio,
True.
who did not want to DM by themselves, were like, we're gonna do this together. And
And I
one
heard
of
that
the
they brought some chaos to the table.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like just watch our PAX
That
our
was the one
PAX
that I heard the
finale.
most about.
Oh yeah. It was
uh,
absolutely wonderful.
so what happens with your characters when you get put into the seat? Like does Dahani just kind of be like, I'm just gonna go do my own thing for a little bit, or are they still present?
They it's that's the I think probably the most fun part of DMing, figuring out what's gonna happen with your character. For example, my first season DMing, we went to Candlekeep, and I tried to have Dahani there as the DM NPC,
Mm-hmm.
but I kept forgetting she was there. And eventually it got to the point where she wasn't there. She was at like a paint and sip in Candlekeep.
That's so good.
She came home with this gorgeous, because she's an artist, so she came home with like this gorgeous painting of Waterdeep that she had done from the air, that now hangs over the mantle in Trollskull Manor. So
Oh
um
yes.
so it really depends on the DM. Like for Sharif, his character Shaka was there at points
Mm-hmm.
of the story this season, but that's that's the fun part,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out where your characters are, that you cannot be them, or that they need to be indisposed for for
Yeah.
10 episodes.
I do think it's funny because I think there's this perception that when the DM has their character on screen, they're more inclined to like do the DM magic stuff. But it's like, well, I'm just treating them like any other NPC.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, with my I have a project that I'm working on that we're co-DM and we're kind of swapping back and forth between
Hmm.
adventures. And that's also been kind of the struggle is like the other DM ran one that was all about spiders and I joked that my character now has arachnophobia. So when
Hmm.
I took over again, I was like, "Oh no, he's in his room. He's still not okay. He is in a fortress of blankets. He'll be
Uh-huh.
fine later." It's always fun. But well, okay. So I would actually be remiss if I didn't talk about this because when Dahani came to the game, I wasn't hosting Idle Insights, and I always love talking to people about their characters. How did you come up with Dahani?
I hadn't, I wanted to play something that I was going to have fun with. And I'd never played an Aarakocra, and my very first Adventurers League character was a monk, and I had so much fun with that character. Um, it was partly thinking about what the player makeup was, or
Mm-hmm.
what the character makeup was, and also something that I was just going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, she was an Aarakocra monk. That she's from Chult. Um, she's from the monastery. She's from Kirsabal. Um, and
Oh,
she
that's
just
awesome.
got yeah. She
I
just
didn't
she,
I
she
didn't know
kind
that.
of
That's really cool.
yeah. So she just kind of got tired of being like a monastery monk. She wanted to do more with that. So um she started taking odd jobs. I guess you could call her a mercenary in that sense. Where she just kind of like traveled, you know, towards the Sword Coast and kind of like up the Sword Coast doing odd
Mm-hmm.
jobs when she ended up working for the Castellanters.
Oh.
Um, yeah, because we were right in a sort of like Dragon Heist of Vernus arc when I came onto the cast, and she was told to look after the rivals in a spy on them sort of way, and then just kind of never went back.
I know many a PC who has ended up in a group like
Yep.
that. Yeah, but okay. I gotta ask though, how did the nickname Murder Bird get brought in there? Because I found out about this because of Luke's comic, and I'm like, what do you mean Murder Bird?
Okay, so I will start this off with a disclaimer: she has never murdered anyone. But it was during our Icewind Dale season when we were at Revel's End. I don't even remember why she beat this guy up so badly, but she beat this guy up so badly that we weren't sure for a couple of episodes whether or not he was going to live.
Oh no.
And so that was when the nickname Murder Bird took wing, shall I say.
Oh, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
What's Tahani's character arc been like since like you talked about the Castellanters working for them and then joining the group, but like since then, how has her character been?
Um, she is not so much now. She kind of had started off as kind of like a people pleaser, realizing that she didn't want to go back to the Castellanter. She just never really mentioned that that was a thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think they mentioned it at one point, but um because she was supposed to be a guest character that and became permanent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was meant to be a guest character, and then some cast changes happened before the before that episode, and
Mm-hmm.
they brought me on fully, which was fantastic. But yeah, she was supposed to be a guest character, not supposed to be there for that long. But it was she had always been kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Whereas,
Mm.
where the rivals were going to realize, you've been with us a very long time. Why exactly are you here? Um, and that kind of got resolved 2 or 3 seasons ago, where the Castellanters became under new management, and this new management did not have any involvement with Avernus at all. And they were like, yeah, you're technically supposed to be working for us, but we're kind of not doing that anymore. Here is several years back pay. And if you want to do odd jobs for us, that's cool.
It's a pretty sweet deal.
Pretty sweet deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's kind of happy with she's very happy in her place with the rivals as artist, decorator of the house, dragon liaison. If you've seen the last couple episodes of Rivals, we've got a baby dragon. His name is BD.
What is his name?
BD. Because we didn't want to give him a name because we thought that he might come up with a name on his own. So we just started calling him Baby Dragon. And we called him Baby Dragon in his presence. And turns out during this last season, he's like, well, yeah, my name's Baby Dragon. That's what you call me. My name's Baby Dragon. And we were just like,
oh, that's so adorable. It's like if my cat learned how to talk, she'd think her name was the baby.
And until it learned how to speak Common, she was the only one who could speak Draconic. So she was the liaison to we needed to talk to the dragon about anything. But it's definitely a kind of finding your place sort of arc where she's sent off to do something. It's it's unfamiliar. She kind of can't go back to what she was doing, and so she's just kind of like sitting in the manor, like twiddling her thumbs, like, all right, I guess I'm here until you kick me out.
I relate to that feeling way too much.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, though. Okay, well, tell you, let's check in with chat and see what they've been up to while we've been talking. Chat, in case I didn't make this clear, this is live. So if you have any questions for LaTia, put them in with put question : and then your question, and our awesome mod Jordan will grab them, put them in a little text doc.
Things.
So let's see. Let's start off with Cassius 335. He says, "Question: favorite familiar not already in Idol Champions."
Oh, it's the flumps. It's the flumps.
I mean, we do have two. I think we have two flumps.
3.
Because we get 3. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the question was, which one is not already in it?
I know, but I don't have one that's not.
That's fair.
Them.
That's fair. Well, then you already got Lurking Riders follow up, which is favorite familiar currently in Idol Champions. Oh, that isn't part of Familiar Quest. I guess that still works.
Oh, that isn't part of Familiar Quest. Okay. Mm-hmm. That isn't part of Familiar Quest. The actually, is it CB's familiar? Is it Amari?
Amani.
The songbird. The Amani.
Yes.
The songbird. The art for that is so gorgeous.
One of the most beautiful pieces of art I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. The colors and the feathers and everything. Mm-hmm. Absolutely stunning.
I'm also just a big Displacer Beast fan, and I do believe there is a baby Displacer Beast in Idol Champions.
Displacer Beast.
Yeah.
we used to call my cat a Displacer Beast because she just seemed to be able to appear wherever the heck she wanted in the house. Mm-hmm. And so when that familiar came, I was just like, it's not the same color as my cat, but I'm still just going to think of it as that. Let's see. Cassius 335 has another question. Has LaTia discussed with Megan Kenrick what Whittle or Squiddle are up to during the events of season 2?
I have not. I actually saw that question fly while we were talking, and it gave me the idea that perhaps I should, because I don't know, it may become relevant to the story. So, but no, I have not spoken to Megan about what Whittle and Squiddle are up to.
That would be a great way to just lead into Squiddle being the overall villain. Megan just comes in and wrecks the entire crew. The Lurking Writer says, question: I'm not caught up on Rivals of Waterdeep, but one of the things I enjoy about it is that everyone gets to be in the DM seat from time to time. If you've gotten to do that, has it, and how has it helped you prepare for running Familiar Quest?
It has prepared me in that it just gives me an opportunity to DM, because outside of online things, I don't have the time to. Yeah. So the chance to kind of like sharpen my skills with people who I'm very familiar with
Eh.
is always a great thing. I have familiar.
I had to. Let's see. Lurking Rider's got another question. Oh, wait, no, that's the same question. Jordan. I don't care. But it is the next one is Lurking Rider. Tahani and Orkira on an adventure together again when parentheses heart of Lauren.
I'm so sad that both of us are slot 1. That's just unfair.
Oh, you and a lot of other people, trust me. Oh my gosh. That is, as a community manager, I get to see a lot of requests for Idol Champions, and one of the top ones is for one of them to be moved so both Tahani and Orkira can appear in the same formation. The other one like that, I always get it mixed. I think it's Farida and Freely are in the same slot, which we always thought was funny since Beauty and Aaron, are on Champions of Lore with me, but we can never have their main characters in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
But
to answer your question, whenever somebody's got to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, we have some opportunities here at the Idol Champions occasionally. I hear that we do games sometimes, so
sometimes
who knows? I thought we actually had more questions, but it was actually just the thing that got mixed up on there. I think that is a good place for us to wrap up. LaTia, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking to me today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I love talking. I just love talking.
I mean, that's why they hired me, and I that's not even a joke. That literally is when my interview. They're like, "Well, you like talking a lot." If people wanted to find you and your work on the interwebs, where could they do so?
Twitter is the most convenient place to find me because I literally do not shut up. So you can find me on Twitter. My username's right down there at LaTia Jacquise. I do have a website that I do not update, but LaTiaJacquise.com if you want to see all the things that I have done. Once I do something else, it'll be there. Which reminds me that I have to put a familiar quest in my video section. So that's exciting.
Hey.
But yeah, those are the two main places you can find me.
Fantastic. Yeah, be sure to follow her on Twitter. Be sure to catch Familiar Quest that is going to be going on Monday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific. I think that's right. I always get it mixed up between 5 and 4, and I don't know why.
It's 5 p.m. because I always have like a slight panic attack because Mondays are very stacked for me, like work-wise. So I have to think about how much time I have between the end of my workday and, it's 7 p.m. here in Central Time. So I have to, get food and things like that. And I'm like, And then it's that ADHD waiting game,
Oh my God. The worst game.
the worst game. So figuring out, all right, I've got call time is half an hour before. I've got this much time, but what if I just sat here and did nothing instead?
Oh my God. Yeah. The ADHD feel of just like, I have an appointment later. It's a really long time for now, but I'm going to be thinking about it constantly, and it's going to just make me not do anything until then.
Yep. And then that's when you war with scheduling appointments early, and then warring with, but then I have to be up early, and it's just like,
actually,
I'm sorry,
you know what?
I didn't.
No. I know I was starting to do the outro here, but you know what? It's my show. I'm gonna do what I want. That actually brought up a question I had in my head, which is, you're very open on Twitter about having ADHD. I mean, we've had conversations on Twitter about that.
Yeah.
How do you find ADHD like while DMing? Like is there any workarounds that you've had to find to work with it?
Yes. Because through no fault of literally anyone involved in any project, I need to do something else while I'm not doing something, right? Mm-hmm. Like nobody's fault. So generally what that turns into, and probably the reason why I'm such a planner versus a pantser. I'm a pantser because I use the time when other people are doing things to research. So you can see, my eyes I try very hard to at least look at the cast while I'm doing things. But
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit of behind the scenes stuff for AFQ2, I had my laptop here with everybody's character sheets. D&D Beyond was open so that I could look up things about Waterdeep if I needed to. Um, but it's I have to keep my and again, this does not mean that what's going on screen is not engaging, because
Yeah.
it is. It has to be, because I need to know what my players are doing. But I can't just sit and watch them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be doing something else. And if that something else is building a potential encounter based on what they're saying, or researching something that they have just said and I'm pretty sure are going to ask me about, I just have to be doing something else. And I've tried to make that something else useful to the thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not just me scrolling Twitter and waiting for to hear the lapse in speaking. It's all right, here's where we are, here's what I've got, here's what could happen. And I'm building. I am DMing while I am DMing.
I like that. No, that I get what you mean, because like I find that because I do a very similar thing when I'm running it, where I have stuff up and I'm looking up like items or looking at their character sheets and whatnot, because I know me. If I sit here and watch my players for too long, I get so invested in what they're doing, I forget I have to do stuff when they stop talking.
That's also the other thing. Like you will. Whenever I DM, you'll watch me just watch them. Mm-hmm. And part of that is I am seriously invested in making sure that they all get an opportunity to do something.
Yep.
But maybe 25% of the time is, oh, right, I need to do something. Make a roll.
Oh, man.
Rocks fall.
The amount of times I have called for a check just to give me time to think about what's happening.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I know that panels exist about ADHD and D&D, but we really need to talk about like how like ADHD and DMing specifically, like how do we as ADHD DMs work around or work with our ADHD to make sure that we can still pull off a game?
That would be one heck of a panel. I think that would be a really interesting one, because I know people have been talking recently about, like from the player standpoint and everything like that, and like I've even struggled with trying to find ways to like make sure that I see everything for my character, because I mean I stopped playing spellcasters because I'm like, I don't remember any of my spells. I don't remember any of my spells at any given time.
See, that's the thing. And that's another thing about how you can give two people the same thing and they'll do completely different things with it. I love spellcasters because there's so many things to do that while other people's turns are happening, I've come up with 4 different things to do. Like, depending, like here's my standard thing, but oh no, you've killed the person that I want to attack. Well, I've got to redirect. Now I am injured. Okay, I've got to I like the battle plans are what I like about spellcasters, and my brain is like, oh yes, tactics. I'm going to come up with 4 different things while people are taking their turns, because I do not like wasting turns.
Well, maybe my original theory about myself is true. Then maybe I am just a bruiser with dreams of being a wizard one day. Because I play fighters great. Like I'm always just like, I'm just gonna go in there and look cool.
yeah. And I think so. A lot of my friends get on me because the last couple of characters that I've created for things that the world has seen have been buff ladies with spears, which is not a bad thing.
Nope.
But it doesn't give me the opportunity. Like I do that because it's easy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just don't want to come up with those battle plans. But every so often I've got a couple druids in the backseat that haven't gotten a chance to play yet, and I just want to, be a bear sometimes.
Well, I'm glad we got to have this little extra talk about ADHD and D&D, but I really like the idea of doing an expanded version of that. So maybe that's something we should find a way to get out there on the interwebs at some point.
Heck yeah.
But because we tangented off of your outro, why don't you let people know one more time where they can find you?
Alrighty. You can find me across the internet. I'll be a little bit more elaborate this time, but across the internet at LaTia Jacquise. There's only one LaTia Jacquise out there that I know of, and it's me. If you Google it, everything that comes up is going to be me. So, but Twitter is the easiest place to get in touch with me, at LaTia Jacquise, or my website, where you can see everything that I've done so far and how long it's been since I've updated it. So, yeah, those places. And then also the Rivals of Waterdeep Twitter, which is at Rivals Waterdeep, as we get ready for our 14th season.
Heck yeah. And yeah, be sure to check out a Familiar Quest Series 2 every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. I got it. With LaTia DMing and a whole cast of awesome players and familiars. But yeah, again, LaTia, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insights. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. Thank you for Lauren for producing, and thank you for joining for modding. But until next week, take care of yourself.